These are the top 10 skill sets I believe young people entering the workplace should focus on improving in 2023. These are skill sets that all professionals have. However, they are skill sets that you could easily improve upon with a little bit of intention and planning, and use them to shine at work early in your career. So if you are a young professional entering the workplace, consider selecting 1 to 2, maybe 3 skill sets that you'd like to improve over the course of the year and work your way to getting recognized. These top 10 skills are skills that all professionals who work in knowledge jobs should already possess. However, because all professionals are expected to hold these skills, they often are undervalued or go unrecognized in the workplace by organizations and by leaders. So if a young professional puts a little bit of effort on improving some of these 10 skill sets, it is very easy to stand out in the workplace. Do you need to stress about having these skills? Not necessarily. Most of your peers will have these top 10 skills, and because they are skills that you can learn on the job over the course of your career, you do not need to be stressing out. But if you want an easy way for you to stand out in the workplace quickly, these are skills that you can improve. And so most of your peers will have a level of proficiency that allows you or them to successfully complete the projects. However, very few of them will make you stand out. So the best example that I can give you is listing on your resume that you are proficient in Excel or PowerPoint. It's easy to list those tools on your resumes because maybe you've been using them your whole academic career. So now you have about 5 years of experience using these tools. However, proficiency implies that not only do you know how to use the tool, you know how to take advantage of the tool to make you shine in the products that you perform. So the first time that I came across a proficient Excel user made me realize that I was definitely not proficient. I sat next to her because she was going to teach me something, and her fingers were flying like this, using all of the shortcuts, hiding and opening windows, making magic. And I was so shocked, flabbergasted, maybe. And that's when I knew that I was not proficient in Excel. Well, you don't have to become an expert in using all of the tools or all of these skills. Getting yourself a little bit above the average in your peer group matters. That's what I want for you. I want your peers to recognize you for having a little bit above average skill sets in these top 10 skills. The reason I'm making this video is because these are skills that you can improve upon in a short amount of time with a little bit of intention and a little bit of planning. And I'm not going to ask you to spend hours doing trainings and courses. What I want you to be is mindful about these skills. Every time you sit down to do some note taking, you try to improve upon that from the last meeting that you were note taking. Maybe you allocate a little bit of time to creating a different structure that works for you. Same thing with facilitation. You look for opportunities where you can facilitate. You try out different strategies that maybe you read online. There are very easy ways for you to intentionally build these skill sets. The reason I want you to work on these top 10 skills is because they are marketable and they're transferable to new industries and sectors. So if you ever wanted to leave your sector or field of interest, you could take these skills and then build upon them to adapt to the new needs of wherever institution that you go. By having these marketable skills that could be transferred from the nonprofit sector to the corporate sector to the public sector, aka government sector, it will allow you to capitalize on life changes, experience, give you flexibility to, have a dynamic career path over time. So not only can you take them and build a new career path in a different sector, if you needed to step out of the workplace, you could step out and become a consultant and sell any of these skills as a service. There is a need in the marketplace for all of these skills. I work in the nonprofit sector, and our organization has hired graphic note takers, a person who blends note-taking with art. We've also hired facilitators when we need a third party to come and facilitate the meeting to ensure that we get from point A to point B, that we meet our result. One mindset shift that I want you to make, and I wish that I had picked up upon or somebody had shared it with me when I graduated from UC Berkeley in 2012, is that you can build skills while you're on the job, so that in the future you can become a consultant and use your consultant work to build economic security over your career path, especially when you're undergoing personal changes. You're meeting milestones, you need a change in a job opportunity, you need to step in or out of the workplace. Having skills that allow you to become a consultant easily is a very good way to ensure that you have a level or at least a baseline of economic security. These would be the skills that could keep you afloat if you get laid off unexpectedly, or you have to take time off in the workplace, either because you want to, go and have an extended maternity leave, or maybe you've decided that you don't want to go back after your maternity leave and you want to raise your kids for the first 3 years and then return to the workplace. Becoming a consultant using these skills would be very helpful. For those of you who may be caregivers of a parent or a loved one, these skills could be used to supplement your income or to hold you over while you do that. They could also be used as streams of income for you to pay down debt or to enjoy a fun lifestyle so that you can travel on the weekends and make the most use of your young adulthood. Note-taking, a skill that is often an afterthought in most organizations. A lot of organizations take meeting notes, but very few people go back to notes to reference them or to review them, because maybe they're just not in the best format, or they don't really capture the essence of the meeting, or everybody is expected to do their own note-taking. So if you are entering your career and you're supporting teams or a group of people, developing a good style of note-taking is an easy way to provide value to the team and to show your ability to take concepts that are being discussed in a meeting and synthesize into bullet points or action steps. And so you have some flexibility and ability to do some design around kind of the concept of note-taking so that it is a value add for you or a value add for your teams. Investing in note-taking is also an important skill for those of you who are junior staff. Oftentimes in hierarchical organizations, note-taking defaults to the youngest staff in the room, or if you are a woman, it defaults to a woman, depending on how conservative the organization or business you're in. You have the option to work on this skill set either for yourself to improve your workflow or to support and bring add value to the team. And it will all depend on the kind of dynamic of the organization and institution. Skill set 2 is facilitation. Working on becoming a good facilitator is a valuable skill. You will be able to identify people very quickly by their facilitation skills. They either have good facilitation skills or they don't have good ones. The truth is that most people will have some level of proficiency around facilitating, but the people who get recognized for their facilitation skills do get rewarded. They get public praise, they get considered for projects. And then people want to work with people who are good facilitators because they know how to guide discussions. They know how to resolve competing ideas. They know how to keep people on task. So having this skill set is profitable, and it's also a skill set that can get you recognized in the workplace and can assert you in the minds of people when projects are coming out and they need somebody who for sure knows how to lead the project. And I do feel like facilitation becomes a proxy for leadership. It's interesting. It may not be true, but people in the workplace are always looking for ways to kind of make sense of the staff that they have, the skills that they have, and to make assessments about who's the best person to do something. And I do feel like oftentimes if you are a good facilitator, people will also assume that you're a good leader. It is a skill set that I would recommend that you prioritize. Skill set 3, public speaking. Public speaking is always a high value money-making skill. If you have the ability to take advantage of opportunities in the workplace to improve upon your public speaking, do so. I know that public speaking is a scary experience, but it definitely is one of those skills that you could develop by, taking small risks. If you are uncomfortable with the act of speaking in public, you can, take advantage of leading small meetings. And if you don't feel comfortable improving your public speaking skills at work, you can join an organization called Toastmasters. Toastmasters is a club for people looking to improve their public speaking and leadership abilities. It's a nonprofit. It is affordable, very affordable. It's not free because I have to pay for the curriculum that they have, but it is a third place that you can go to work on the skill set without fearing the judgment of your peers. Skill 4 is presentation design and development. Just like note-taking, basic and bland presentations are the norm. You can get by with them as long as they get the point across. Everybody's good in an organization, right? However, there are sometimes that you meet a unicorn, somebody who is skilled not only in the presentation, but also in the design, in their ability to turn a concept or idea into a visual graphic. And so when you meet these unicorns, you are impressed. You know that they are much more proficient than you are, but you're also realize just the impact that good design and good organization of a presentation matters. The power of stories is so important to being able to sell an idea or concept or your work in the workplace. So it is a marketable skill that you can use to maybe earn a little bit of a side income to pay down student loan debt. Skill set 5, project management. It is a skill set that all professionals should have. It is a skill set that I wish we would graduate with from college, but we don't. But being intentional about starting and completing a project matters, especially as you move through your careers, and paying attention to proper project management early in your career just means that you accelerate the development of this skill set over time. Project management is one of those skills that is easily transferable to other industries. You can go from nonprofit sector to the private sector, companies and corporations, or you can go from corporations to the nonprofit sector and sell that skill set to the nonprofit world. I don't work in the public service government field, but I'm sure that there's ways to take that skill set and apply it in a way that works with the bureaucracy of government as well. So when you start at your company, determine what is the project management culture there, what's the style, who's a good project manager. In the nonprofit sector, you won't necessarily hear project manager as a term or a role, but there are a lot of people who have their projects. they don't have that title. So identify what the culture is around project management. Pay attention to the people who are really good at it, and then practice on the job. Once you reach a level of proficiency that you feel like I can't get past, then you can ask your supervisor, or I don't know, HR might be responsible for development dollars, to get you certified or to go to a training or to buy you a course. Skill set 6 is documentation. I feel like a lot of companies, organizations, and institutions do not pay attention to the need to document processes in their companies. And most of the time when they realize that this is an important need for them is when somebody's departing, somebody's leaving to another job, or somebody got fired and they realize that that person is taking all of their knowledge with them to another company, or it's just disappeared because nothing has been documented. And that's a frustrating thing as a leader, to have all of that work and knowledge just, kind of disappear. So learning how to improve the documentation process is a helpful skill. You can improve this skill set for yourself so that you become better at doing repetitive tasks quickly and you don't forget, or working on this skill set to offer it as a value to your team or department. Usually the conflict with this is that some people don't feel like there's a lot of loyalty in corporations, so that it's an easy way to give them a blueprint to your job and replace you if they had to. And so it is one of these skills that if you choose to work on it, you can do it silently for your benefit, or you can do it loudly for the benefit of the organization. It's up to you if you feel safe and comfortable at your company or if you don't. And if you do not feel safe or comfortable, you can work on this process of documenting the work that you do so that you know how to get the work done quicker and have reflections and improve upon. And then, whenever you go, you have outlines of how you've done the work in the past and reflections to build upon. But if you choose to use it to improve systems in your company, then that's a good way to seek, promotions and raises. I think an example of documentations are standard operating procedures, but documentation, I see it as a little bit bigger. Not only operating procedures, but like ideas, insights, and developments of projects and reflections on how to do work and improve upon it. Skill set 7 is infrastructure and system building. Many companies and businesses or departments that are small tend to be underfunded. So if you become good at building out infrastructure and systems, then you can improve your workflow and you can improve the workflow of a team if you're supporting a team. And that means taking the tools available in a company or organization and learning how to work together, make them work together to improve the workflow. Sometimes improving infrastructure will be like documenting things, and sometimes it's going to be connecting to software so that they talk to each other. So you're building systems. I use a lot of tools to improve my workflows. So a lot of the time I'm looking for a tool that captures knowledge outside of my email, right? So I use Airtable. I do a lot of surveys to capture information so that I don't have to sort through response emails. So that's what infrastructure and systems building in. It's being able to use tools. Hands down, conflict resolution skills needs to be on the priority of your list, especially if you're going to be looking to move up into leadership roles. I hate to say it, but conflict resolution skills is one measurement of your leadership skills. A good leader will always be measured by their ability to address and handle conflict. I see it all the time in the workplace. A leader who doesn't know how to help the people that they supervise handle conflict or how to resolve conflict is usually not trustworthy. You don't feel confident or safe under their leadership. You know that they don't know how to handle conflict, so they're gonna avoid conflict And if they're avoiding conflict, then they're not supporting you, advocating for you, or protecting you from other conflicts. And I think related is the leader who doesn't know how to handle grievances from a person that they supervise. If you are a leader who doesn't know how to receive feedback and process it and make sense of it and then integrate it into some meaningful change, you will be judged for your inability to do that in the workplace. Conflict management itself, it's, very vulnerable skill set to improve upon. So being intentional about the skill set, reading a few books, doing a little bit of intentional training on your own, and then once you feel ready and confident, asking people to help you build the skill set, I think is worth so much. You must understand that in the workplace, there are no secrets. All of your peers will know where you stand on the pecking order based on your project management skills and your conflict resolution skills. And so if you are, and facilitation skills, I would say, if you are bad at receiving feedback and dealing with conflict, that word is gonna spread like wildfire. People will not want to work with you. People will undermine you. People will look down on you. So it's definitely a skill set that, even though it's hard and vulnerable to work on, it is a skill that you have to develop, because the negative perceptions that come with having poor conflict resolution skills is just not worth it for your career. And I'm going to take it one step further. If you have poor conflict resolution skills, your competency will be questioned. The competency, your role, and even the leadership that has you in that position. The reality is that having poor conflict resolution skills could quickly turn into toxicity in the workplace. I didn't organize these in a hierarchical order, but I do think that the fallout of having poor conflict resolution skills in the workplace has a direct impact in your career long term, because there are no secrets in the workplace, but there's also no secrets in industries, especially small industries. Skill set 9 is writing. There are different types of writing for different fields of interest. So you can start with just the kind of writing that happens in your organization and being mindful about how people write for your organization. If you want to improve the ability to write better for your career in a specific industry, letting people know that you're open to feedback, that you're open to tips and strategies is a good way for you to improve your writing. We hire writers all the time for reports. Report writing is a specialized skill set that's a little bit different than, say, academic writing. And so, but we pay pretty big money. Investing in specializing in any form of writing is a really good skill set to have, because it is a skill set that you could do from home remotely and be able to do it as a consultant without having to travel places. I would say that tool 10 is just simply tools. If you make a list of the tools that your company or organization uses on a daily basis, and you intentionally look for tutorials or trainings or webinars that are free and improve your use of them, and you learn how to integrate them into your workflow, over time you'll become proficient. And like I said, proficiency shows you not only how to use them, but how to maximize the use of them to improve a workflow. Being able to learn the tools of your organization can make you a sought after team member. It is a good way to build rapport with other team members or executive staff. And I think something to consider, just like note-taking, tech challenges tend to fall on young people in the workplace often, especially if there's no tech department or if the tech department is understaffed. They do happen to land on the junior staff's lap. So if you find yourself to be the youngest person in the room. I don't know what it is, but people expect that you're just tech savvy and that you can resolve anything. So that is a good place to start in the workplace in the first few months of starting a new job. In summary, these are the top 10 skills that I think are marketable, transferable, and that you should definitely work on this year. You don't have to select all the tools. Select maybe 3. Select the ones that align with your personality, your interest area, and then, sort the rest out. That if you have to prioritize a few, facilitation, public speaking, conflict management, and project management are the 4 top skills that I should have put in chronological order. But anywhere that you start, it's a better place than not being intentional about building this skill set. So if you have any questions, drop them down below. And I'm very excited to hear what you think are other skill sets that young professionals should be developing, or that you wish you would have developed when you started in the workplace.